Hello friends, welcome to Learn JavaScript series. In this video you are going to see how to create objects in JavaScript. Here in this video we are going to use object notation. There are two notation, one is object notation and another one is a function template notation. In this video we are going to concentrate on object notation. So in object notation, we will use the keyword new. Then we will create object here, O is caps. So this will create a object and we can assign it to a variable. Say for example, the variable is person1. So what happens, this will create an object and this object is now pointed by person1. Next we can add members to this object. So what we can do, we can use person1 dot, let's say f name, so in the first statement, if you see, we created a person object. Simply speaking, we created an object. Then here we are actually assigning a member. So in the very first line, if you see, at this stage just object only created. Now here we specify a member f name. So after that, the second statement, we will get a member inside this object and that member holds RAM. And likewise you can start adding the member. Let me add one more member, last name. So now we will get one more member here, L name. Delete. So this is how you can create an object using the new object notation. So here if you see, we use the keyword new, then we make use of the object. So new object will be created. After that we can start adding the data member to it. So the object here is identified by the variable person1. And if you see in the left hand side, we use new person1. And now person1 is pointing to this. You can also add functions. So for example, get full name equal to, then here actually you can define a function. So if you need a parameter, you can pass those parameter. For simplicity, I'm just keeping it as a simple function. Then you can define your function statement here. Now our object has one more member, but this time it's a function member. So once object is created, you can see that that object is identified by the variable called person1. Then you can get any member using the object notation. Say for example person1 dot fname. So this will return the first name and you can assign it to some variable x. Similarly, you can get a last name also, and if you want to change the assignment, then you can use it in the left hand side. Person1 dot so likewise you can access the members. So person1 is the variable. We created the object and that object is identified by person. Then using that same person itself, we defined two members, first name, last name. Then we defined a function also. Then here in this statement, if you see here, we are, since it is towards the right hand side of the equal to, we are reading fname. So the fname is read in the statement. Here we are actually reading the first name, and here if you see, we are assigning Prasad to L name. That means we are writing it. So here we are writing. So, and if you want to make a call to get full name, then you can use the same notation. You can make a call to get full name. And you have to use the parenthesis since it's a function call. So that's all here. Let's quickly review it. First, here if you see, we created a object using the new object and we assigned it to a variable person, and initially object will be created and there will be no member, but that memory location is identified by person1. After that, using that same variable identifier, we created two member, first name then last name, and we also provided a value to it. So first name and last name will hold value from the loop. Next, we defined a behavior. That means we defined a function. Note here there is no parenthesis. Person1 dot get full name equal to. Then here we are defining a function. After that, we have some statement inside the function. Here you can use the first name, last name, middle name, and you can format it the way you want, and you can return that. That's all. Here if you see, so this part shows you how to create a object. Then here we are actually using that already created object. So at a point in time, if you want to read the content, you can use a person1 dot first name and you can assign it to any variable. So here you are actually performing a read. Then here you are assigning a value to the member. Then here you are making call to the function which is part of this object person1. Alright, now we will see an example. So here is our example. Let me open it in Notepad++. Let's go through this example step by step. So if you see here, first we are allocating the memory and we are creating the object. Then in the left hand side we are having an identifier for this new object. Then using this person1, we are assigning the data member, first name, middle name, last name. Then we also defined a function get full name. So since f name, m name, l name are its member, now here in the get name function, we are formatting that first name, middle name, last name with a space and a comma. So that's also here we defined one object. Then same way we created two more object, person2 and person3. Next, what we are doing here, we are creating a person, then we are keeping those objects in an array. So now the array contains two member. Location 0 we have person1. At location 2, that means index 1, we have person2. Then in person 3, I mean the array location 3, we are assigning the person 3 object, so which we created here. So let's change the name. Arun T. Kumar. Alright. Finally, here if you see from person array 1 index 1, that means person 2, we are making call to get name. So you will get John S. Kevin as the output. So to better understand this, let's debug this so that you can see how objects are allocated. So here we are seeing person2 formatted name John S. Kevin, right? Now we will debug and you will see what happens at runtime. So let me double click this. Then we will put a breakpoint. And we know that we have 4 variables here. You can watch those in the global scope. Before that, let me refresh it. So in the global scope, there will be a lot of variables. And here you are seeing person1, person2, person3, then person array. Now let us debug this, and if you see, all are undefined. So now person1 object is created, but this person1 object is not having anything, and if you see here it is empty. Now once we assign first name, you will see one member get added to it. So now person1 is having only one member because we executed only that statement. Now we will execute the remaining 2 statement, and you can see the other 2 members get added to person1. So now our person1 object is having 3 data member, and the member is a first name, last name, middle name. This person1 is the variable. And if you see, first we created an object, and that object can be reached using this variable person1. That's why in the debugger window you see person1. Then you are seeing 3 members defined so far. Now we are assigning the function member also. Here we defined the function, and this function just returns the formatted name. That means it is appending first name, middle name, and last name with a blank space and comma. So it's just formatting that name components and returning the full name. All right. So have a look here. It will add this function also as a member. Now we have 4 member. Let me collapse it so that you can see how it looks. So we have person, first name, middle name, last name, and we have a method also defined here, get name, and it's a function. So likewise we will create other 2 objects. You can just you can simply watch here. I will step through it slowly. So now all three objects are ready. Now what we can do, we can add these objects into an array just for learning purpose. Here we are adding these objects into an array. So remember, since here now, since we created an object, these related members are bundled together in a single unit, person1. So if this object is not there, then you can think of creating a separate arrays for a person. So you need to have a separate array, or you have to use some string manipulation to store everything together. So that's the advantage here. Here we are having three member and one function that is bundled together into a single unit called object, and now we have 3-person object. So now we are adding this person object to an array. So here this is the person array. Here it is undefined at this moment. Once I execute this statement, you can see those two members will be the part of this person array. And now if I expand this person array, you can see here there are two members at this moment. So it shows that both are object. Now if I expand it, you can see those object. Here the person one is the just an identifier to reach this memory location, and if you see here it is not person one, it is just that memory location. Whatever this person one is pointing, the same memory content is added here in the array. So now array 0 and array 1 is having the same content. Next, here in this statement we are adding person3 using array notation, array indexing notation. Here we are saying at index location 2, that means 0 1 2. This is the index location 2, which is not yet created. Now we are adding person3, and you can see the length goes 3 and one more person get added to this array. So length is 3, and now you have 3 array members. So if you see here, now this is a person array. It is containing 3 person inside it, and in this statement, if you see, I am using the person array, then I'm referencing the index 1, that means this. After that, I am making call to get name. So when I make a call to get name on happens, get name will get called, and get name will make use of first name, middle name and last name. It will format it and return the content, and then that returned content is displayed here. So because we are using document.write right now, so I click step into, so that's why you are getting into person2 objects get name function. Here if you see, we are formatting it, then the function is returned, and you can see the output here. So that's hidden by this passed in debugger. So now it shows that person2 formatted name. Then here we are making call to get name, and you are seeing the formatted name here. John S. Kevin. All right, that's all here in this video. Let me press F2 to close the debugger. Thank you for watching. Bye.